It was in 2024, fall of 2024 is when I finally faced this trauma, when I finally healed this trauma by talking to the most important person who made this decision to adopt me 35 years ago. And it was my mom. And the reason why this story is so important to me is because for 20 years I carried this burden with me. For 20 years I covered, concealed, tried to hide and do everything I could, but not face this trauma. What's going on, guys? Welcome to yet another episode of Purpose Over Pleasure podcast. As this year 2024 coming to an end, this might be one of the last two, or maybe the last episode of this season, or I might post it in the season. But you might be asking yourself a question. Why is this episode called 2024 Cost Me My Life? Sounds crazy. What happened? What is he talking about? Stay tuned. I'll explain to you guys in a second. But I'll give you some value at the end. And if you like it, please click like, share, and subscribe, and send this episode to others who you believe will get some value out of it. Anyways, let's jump right into it. And I want to start this episode with a story from my childhood that goes back about 20 years ago. Right? I was about 15 years old. I was in the process of coming to the United States of America. It took my mom about 5 years to get an attorney, bring me here, etc., etc. And so I remember sitting at my table at my grandma's house and going through paperwork because I had to take some paperwork and bring it from one office and take it to another office. And I remember opening an envelope. And in that envelope, it was like a birth certificate. So I look at the birth certificate and it says my name on it. So it's my birth certificate. And I remember seeing that there's two columns, page on the left and page on the right. And the page on the right said that the parental rights relinquished to, and it was my mom's name and my dad's name. And on the left-hand side, it said something like parental rights taken from or given up by. And I saw two different names. Well, one name I recognized, but I saw two different names. And it hit me. It hit me that I was adopted. That day was possibly the darkest, most traumatic day that I've had in my life. And I've experienced a lot in my childhood. Physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, domestic violence, drugs, alcohol. I mean, you name it. I've seen it all. At the age of 9 years old, I've seen my father try to stab my brother, and my mom got in between to protect my brother, and she got stabbed. So that's the type of shit I used to see growing up. But that day, the day when I found out that I was adopted, is the day that changed the course of my life for the next 20 years. And the reason why I'm sharing this story with you guys is because, first and foremost, it was in 2024, fall of 2024 is when I finally faced this trauma, when I finally healed this trauma by talking to the most important person who made this decision to adopt me 35 years ago. And it was my mom. And the reason why this story is so important to me is because for 20 years I carried this burden with me. For 20 years I covered, concealed, tried to hide and do everything I could, but not face this trauma. Not face the one thing that defined who I am, but also changed the trajectory of my life. And so 2024, really, in essence, if you think about it, cost me my life, but it cost me my old life. And what I mean by that is this, is that in 2024, I finally faced my demon, and I finally did certain things to heal myself, to heal my trauma, to heal my inner child, to shed off my old identity, my limiting beliefs, who I was brought up to be, what was instilled in me. I lost all of that. And I did it on purpose. So that going in 2025, I have all the new habits, all the new tools that I need, all the new beliefs, all the new confidence, and everything that I need in me and within me and with me to succeed in 2025 and going forward. So the 5 things that I want to talk about right now is the 5 things that I learned in 2024 that either changed my life or helped me overcome certain trauma going forward. First thing was obviously the fact that I have healed my biggest childhood trauma, and that's finding out that I was adopted. As a matter of fact, guys, the fact that I'm sitting here in front of you right now, I'm sharing this story with you without actually crying or being comfortable to put this out there in the world, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on social media, etc. That's big for me. That is huge for me. And it took me 20 years. 20 years to do this. It took me 20 years to finally face it and talk to my mother about it. And it took me, many months and a long time to bring out myself to the point where I'm comfortable sharing that with you. And so the lesson that I learned from this 20-year journey is this. We create our own hell in our heads, and we make ourselves suffer. We are the ones responsible for creating the hell they will live in. And it starts right here. Because what I did for 20 fucking years of my life is that I did everything I possibly could to forget about the fact that I was adopted, to hide it, not to talk about it. I was afraid to face it. I was afraid to face my mother and tell her, Mom, I know you adopted me. Why? Because I was scared. I chickened out. I was terrified. I was scared. I thought that if I talked to her, our relationships will change. If I talk to her, she'll have a heart attack. She'll go to the hospital. She'll be upset, etc., 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 etc. But thankfully, thanks to my therapist, Dr. Gina Gallivan, shout out to you, Gina. Appreciate all those sessions that we had together in helping me get over this childhood trauma of mine. I was able to finally bring myself to the point and have enough courage to find a time in a moment with my mother and talk to her about it and let her know that I do know. And that moment was uncomfortable and it was very emotional. We both cried. We both shared some really emotional things with each other, but it was not even close to what I thought that moment was going to be. I thought she was going to go to the hospital. Some bad, terrible things will happen. She'll be heartbroken. None of that happened. You know what I realized? I've been fucking myself in my head for 20 years. 20 years. And what I will never do in my life again is go through something like that ever again. Because if it's something important to you, if it's something that's haunting you, if it's something that's causing your life to go on a negative spiral versus a positive one, you must face it. You must face it. You must actively work on it. You must seek therapy. You must talk to people who can help you. And you must finally face the truth. Because let's be honest, we all have childhood trauma. Nobody, I'm yet to meet one person who's had a perfect childhood. And guess what? I'm pretty sure if I meet a person with a perfect childhood, they may not be as successful as you would expect them to be. Because I'm yet to meet a successful, good, kind-hearted, genuine, empathetic person who didn't have something horrible or bad happen to them whether in their childhood or throughout their life. So make sure you know what demons you're working with and you're dealing with in your head, because it's extremely important for you to heal yourself, to heal that inner child if you want to move forward. Thing number 2 that I learned in 2024. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, in my mind, I'm Christian. I believe in God. I think Jesus is king. And I think maybe sometimes the universe is God. But whatever you want to believe it. The point is this. The universe or God, they conspire with you when you follow your purpose in life. Let me say it again. The universe or God conspire with you when you finally decide to follow your purpose in life. Because what happens is, for so many years, I tried to escape my purpose in life. For so many years, I had this inner voice inside of me that was just like annoying me. Every day I wake up with it, I go to sleep with it, and I know I would try to escape. I would try to party, drink, have sex with different women, do all these things, but not face my own purpose. And every day I felt that inner voice inside of me just annoyed the shit out of me. Until finally, I said enough is enough, and I started following my true purpose. And guess what? It's gone. That voice is gone. That inner critic in me is gone. That was my consciousness clawing at me from the inside out, telling me, dude, get your shit together. Stop escaping. Stop doing things that are completely useless and start following your purpose in life, the purpose that God gave you, the dream that God gave you. Just start doing something about it. And don't get me wrong. Some of you guys might be asking, well, Alex, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what to do. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, guess what? Here's a simple solution for you. Start doing something. Start doing something. Because that will eventually lead you to your true purpose in life. I was supposed to be a doctor. I come from a family of medical doctors. I was bio major. Then I went to law enforcement. I finished it. I went to law enforcement. So far given 8 years of my life, coming up to 9 years of my life to be a cop. And then from that, now I'm in business and podcasting and public speaking and philanthropy and coaching. I mean, you name it. But guess what I did to myself years ago, over a decade ago? I was broken down and I needed God in my life. And I remember I was so lost. I remember I was driving. It was in Irvine. I went to UCI. One day I'm driving and I just started crying and I started praying to God, like, Lord Jesus, I need you in my life right now. Please tell me, please help me, because I'm lost. I don't know what to do and I need your guidance. The rest is history. He guided me in direction and placed me where I'm at today. Did I disagree with him in the process? Yes, I did. Did he not give me the things that I wanted to have? No, he didn't. But at the end of the day, although we had some disagreements, I've always said, God, I trust your plan for me. I'm going to follow your plan. Just please show me later that whatever plan you had for me and whatever I didn't get, all the doors that were closed for me, please show me later that was done for a reason. And time and time and time again, he's done that for me. He's done that for me every single time, whether it's 6 months after, a year after, 5 years later. He would always show me like that door that was closed in front of me was not for me, because I ended up getting something better. So don't you ever believe that your plan for yourself is better than God's plan for yourself or the universe's plan for yourself. No. You have to have faith on what God or universe have for you. And you have to believe within yourself, with all your heart, that you need to have faith and you need to believe that everything will work out how it's supposed to. You just got to focus. You got to put in the work. You got to believe in yourself. And you got to just know it's going to happen. For example, earlier this year in 2024, I got injured at work. And I had to stop working for quite some time actually. And I couldn't work. I couldn't go to work. And I was working 60 to 80 hours a week as a cop. I couldn't see my buddies. Couldn't hang out with them. I couldn't work out because I damaged my bicep. So everything just went downhill. My mental state started spiraling downhill as well. But I was able to pick myself up. I had good enough support system. I went into business and I started, my healing journey. And the rest is history. I'm here today. I am recovering well. I am very heavy into my entrepreneurial career. And God has blessed me with a great year. And I'm very grateful for it. So sometimes when bad things happen, it doesn't mean you're necessarily getting punished. Because this thing may be happening for you, not to you. And I'm a strong believer in that. So have faith and know that everything will work itself out at the end, as long as you have faith and you work hard for your dream and you're following your purpose in your heart. Number 3, believe that you are worthy. No matter what, believe that you're worthy. Here's a story for you. Earlier this year, there was a huge deal going on across the country. It was a project for a huge building for commercial assets, and they needed 900 cubicles. That's a huge deal. That's a multi-$100,000 project, and not everybody can pull out this kind of deal nationwide. Not many commercial asset dealers and brokers like myself. And so what happened is that deal fell in my lap. I worked for it. It fell in my lap. And when I started doing the numbers, when I started crunching the numbers, I saw what I believed was too much profit. I mean, can you freaking believe it? I thought that the profit was going to be too much. I believed that I am not worthy of that much profit. Can you believe that shit? And so what happened is I lost it. I lost that deal. It slipped out of my hands and somebody else got it and they moved in that direction and it was gone. The lesson I learned that day is that I will never, ever, ever believe that a certain large profit or certain blessings or something or certain rewards are too big for me. Instead, I changed my mindset and I believe I am worthy of it. I am worthy of it. And I changed my mindset real quick. And guess what happened? Within a month, that deal fell back on my lap. The only difference was that I had to renegotiate that deal, and the profit was less than it was originally supposed to be. But hey, I felt comfortable. and I believe that I am worthy of that reward. I am worthy of that deal. I am worthy of making that kind of money because I believed in myself, because I put in the work. And I spent the next couple of months brokering that deal, figuring out the logistics, making it happen, and I got the reward for it. So you have to have absolute faith that you are worthy of what you want to achieve. Number 4, what I learned the hard way in 2024 is that stress will kill you. And it almost killed me. Earlier this year, around summertime, I developed shingles. Now, mind you, I've never had shingles in my life, ever. Maybe, no, not even when I was a kid. I never had shingles. But for some odd reason, at least I thought odd in the beginning, I got shingles on my body. And it was one of the worst things I've ever had in my life. It was so painful. It was so uncomfortable. I couldn't do nothing. I was freaking miserable. And then I find out that shingles come from stress. And then guess what? The week prior to me getting shingles, I had a very, very, very stressful week, which resulted in me being overly stressed out. And the thing about me, guys, is that since I'm a law enforcement officer and I've been a cop for quite some time, and I've seen some really, really bad things, I've experienced some critical situations, and I've seen death and a lot of bad things. And so my level of stress, my threshold of stress is really, really, really high. Sometimes so high that I don't know where it's at. And so what happens is I push myself to the point where my body can no longer keep up. So my body would shut down. Like one time I ended up in an emergency room. Second time I ended up with shingles. And then a month ago, it was November 22nd. I had my first panic attack. As embarrassing as it is to admit, I had my first anxiety or panic attack, whatever you want to call it. And it was absolutely miserable. I mean, it was scary. And I've done a lot of crazy shit as a cop. I had pursuits. I chased people. I fought people. I mean, I've seen some crazy shit. But that panic attack was scary. It was scary to me. And again, I had a crazy busy week. Started at 7 a.m. on Monday or like 5 a.m. on Monday. And then ended at like 6 p.m. on Friday. Although went to dinner, relaxed, had a nice steak, a few glasses of wine. I come home and around 11:30 p.m. As I'm brushing my teeth, I realized I'm having a panic attack. And the only reason why I knew I'm having a panic attack is because as a police officer, I'm trained to know the symptomology of people when they have panic attacks. So I told my wife, call 911, I'm going to go sit down and start breathing. Sure shit, paramedics arrived, take my vitals, and my heart was racing. My blood pressure was through the roof, and I was experiencing a panic attack. And I'm telling you guys this is because I'm the type of person, like many of you are, who neglects sleep and does not prioritize stress management. So I had to learn the hard way these two things. Number 1, how to fix my sleep. And number 2, how to watch myself and be in control of myself and what I do, so that if I was to experience that kind of stress one more time, I know how to handle it. I know what to do. But ideally, take precautions such as meditation, deep breathing, whatever you want to call it, whatever needs to be done for me to be not to end up with a panic attack again. And it was kind of hard for me to talk about it because I'm just keep remembering that situation. I'm not gonna lie, the first week after I had that panic attack was absolutely miserable. It was miserable because when I get a little stressed out, I would feel like I'm about to have a panic attack again and again. So that was totally totally sucked. So I don't suggest it to anybody, but it was a real learning experience for me, and it was a life-changing experience for me. So guys, prioritize sleep, prioritize stress management, and don't do what I do. Don't drive yourself to the emergency room, to the hospital, by trying to do everything, trying to be in charge of everything, because all you're gonna do is just gonna ruin your health and maybe end up killing yourself with a heart attack or something. And last but not least, one last thing that I learned when I talk about that I learned in 2024 is that you're only as good as your last deal. Like my partner, my first business mentor, Kevin Maxwell, always says, you're only as good as your last sale or deal. Because, for example, although I had that massive important deal for 900 cubicles that I brokered that was very successful, that's it. I mean, that was the biggest deal I had in 2024. I had other deals that were smaller, successful deals, but I don't want to be remembered just for that one deal, because that's like a one hitter, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to be known for that. What I want to know is that what I want to be known for is the type of person who constantly has deals of that size, who constantly hits higher limits, who constantly driving business, who's constantly upgrading and leveling up and developing himself and becoming better, and more successful. So success in business is consistency and keeping the momentum going. Okay. Some months you're down, some months you're up, but it's the consistency. It's consistently applying pressure that will eventually make the bottle or the pipe burst. And even if you have a bad month or a bad few months or a bad year, you got to keep momentum going. You got to, if you're having a good month, keep the momentum, roll it over to next month and next month and next month and keep pushing forward. Having a bad time, understand that consistency is key. Keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, because eventually, just through sheer volume of work that you put in, just through your discipline, your dedication, your belief, your faith in yourself, you will succeed. I believe with my whole heart that if you really have passion for something, you really love it, you give it your best, and you continue putting the hard work, universe will or God will bestow it upon you. It will bestow it upon you, and whatever it is, as long as it aligns with the good morals and values and whatever powers you believe in. For me, it's Jesus, for example, is that it's going to be given to you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a year from now, but it will be given to you. So you have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to stay consistent, because you are only as good as your last sale. And you want to make sure your last sale is better than the one before that, and the next one, the next one, the next one, and so on. So those are the 5 things that I learned 2024, because 2024 cost me my old life. 2024 broke me, but also rebuilt me. And I was an active participant in that process of rebuilding myself. So I give myself a credit. I also want to thank the Lord. I also want to thank my friend, my family, my wife who's been there for me, and everybody else. 2024 was a great year for me. I've accomplished a lot, and I'm pretty proud of myself. It was not an easy year. Like I said, I had shingles. I had a panic attack. I had an injury. It was a tough year. It was a challenging year, but I learned a lot. And I want to thank you, my listeners, my viewers, for being there for me, for following me, for subscribing, for sharing, for watching my content. I would not do this without you guys. And the reason why I'm here today sharing what I share with you guys is because I want to give back. It's my way of giving back to you guys. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching me. Thank you for staying with me. Please stay tuned. Share this content with those you believe might benefit from it. And I cannot wait to see you guys in 2025. And I wish you guys the best year. Leave all the bad stuff behind. Take only the good stuff with you. And let's have a prosperous, great, successful 2025. God bless everybody. Happy New Year.